Hey, yeah, I just wanted to come in here and give some advice for how to do some nail care for people that wouldn't normally do manicures. I was inspired when I saw a builder who I used to work with having some really bad hangnails and thought, you probably would want to know how to fix that. So my nails need doing, they're all kind of skanky and gross, so let's talk through the tools I'm going to be using. I have some nail clippers. If you prefer to use little nail scissors, you can do. You just need something that you're going to cut the nail. Don't use regular scissors or a chainsaw or anything weird like that. I've got a nail file here. I haven't necessarily been filing my nail, but I'll show how to use it. If you want one of these like papery cardboardy ones as opposed to like a thick nail file and maybe you're searching online, this can also be known as an emery board if it's made of cardboard, and you can get them in big packs of like hundreds and whatever. I have known people to use sandpaper before. You're going to need one of these guys. This is called an orange stick. Usually it's kind of pointy on one end. This is the end that we're going to be using, so it's just cut at a bevel. I guess if you're a woodworker or something like that, maybe you could make your own. They can be made of wood like this one, or plastic, or metal, or whatever. Usually if you get just like a little manicure set from Superdrug or whatever, it'll have something like this in it. You just need something that will push your cuticles back, and I'll show you how to do that. This is an alternative one, so this came in a sort of manicure set. So if you see something, if you've got one, if you've borrowed one off someone or whatever, found one in the house, you want something that's kind of got like a bit of a rounded something to it that's not sharp. And you're going to want one of these. I don't know what they're called. They're a cuticle tool, and basically what they are is like, it's kind of like a planer that you have for woodworking. It's got this little shape to it, and this little bit here, it's kind of U-shaped. Don't know if I can make it focus. Yeah. And it's got a little cutting edge on it, so that's what we're going to use just to finish up with the cuticles. You may also want some hand cream, and I'll talk about that as we get to it. So, step one is to give our nails a little cut. I am just cutting mine short. Give a nice cut all the way across. I'll just do a couple of nails because otherwise this might be quite boring to watch. And then little snips all the way across. I'm kind of focusing on using one edge so it comes off in one bit, but that's just so it doesn't fly off everywhere, as opposed to any particular reason. I tend to keep my thumbnails a bit long. Sometimes I like to have a long nail for peeling labels off things or whatever. These clippers aren't very good, but they are very pretty, so I tend to just try and make them a little bit of a shape. And where I've got these horrid jaggedy looking edges, I'm going to file it off. Exactly like if you're doing woodworking and you've got a bit of sandpaper. Because anything that's an edge has the possibility of catching. So what you want to do is just kind of take off any of those burrs. It's really hard to do your nails on camera. Suddenly have a whole load of extra appreciation for Simply Nailogical. Watch the camera go out of focus. Okay, hot tip. If you're going to film yourself doing your nails, don't lean your arms on the same piece of furniture as you've got your camera on. And then I don't tend to do too much with these, just to get kind of the burrs off and stop them being such a funky angle. Some people will say that you should only file your nails in one direction, and like, maybe, but I've never had any problems with filing them in just whatever direction. If you find that you're getting them catching loads, you can try filing them just in one direction. Mix it up, but if you find that it's not a problem for you, like it's not a problem for me, then just do whatever you want. Sometimes we get a lot of received wisdom about this is the only way to do things, and makeup and beauty, I think, has quite a lot of that. Like the proper way to pluck your eyebrows and file your nails and things. But just do what works for you. I suppose the received wisdom is a helpful way of perhaps identifying something that you could be doing with it. So with those nails cut and filed, next thing is we're going to push the cuticle back. So we're going to put the angled end on the top of the nail, and we're going to push. And this part here is the cuticle. And basically it's, you know, the little half moons you get. I've got some really visible ones on my thumbs. That's a new nail coming in. And the cuticle is this part here that grows over the top, and that protects the nail as it comes in. And what happens is that little bit of skin grows over the end of the nail, and then it pulls itself back. So I think I don't know that I can get it in focus enough. On this nail, you can see how this bit of skin is grown over the nail. So that's a little bit up there, possibly visible. It's quite tricky to see, even probably with good lighting. And there's a little line here. So you can see that this part has already pulled back, but this bit hasn't. And something that happens sometimes is that this part's grown over quite long. One bit of it will pull back like this, and then you end up with those rips. So basically, just giving everything a little push back, and you don't want it to hurt, you just want it to be a little push back. Sometimes you poke it and then you can just feel the nerve, and then you know that you've done enough. And that means that it doesn't rip back kind of under its own steam. You're just kind of going, okay, you're all going to come back. And that will help to prevent those rips going on down the side. I don't think I've got any on my nails at the moment, even though I haven't done them for a while. But you'll probably know what I mean, like those horrible ones that are like the cuts that are painful and then they can get infected. So that's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything big and fancy or anything like that. So you can kind of see the difference between the ones that have been pushed back and these ones that haven't. When you push them back, sometimes you get like a little bit of extra, some of the skin ends up sticking up a little bit, like here. You can see this little bit here that's lighter. And that's where we've pushed it back. It's lifted it up off the nail, and now it's kind of just gone up and like that. And the thing is that can then catch on everything. So what we want to do is trim it in the same way as we trim the nails, so that they don't catch. So that's when this guy comes in. And what you want to do is very carefully, and we don't want to take off a lot, just use the tool to just take off a teeny little bit. And you don't want it to be painful, and you don't want it to bleed. That's the thing that we don't want. Just to take off the top little bit of cuticle that's sticking. And it's better to do a million small strokes than it is to do one big one that then ends up pulling everything. Sorry, I know my hands are in my way. I tend to work from the middle outwards. If you have got something that's already got caught, so maybe you've got a split and the sides are sticking up, and you can see that it's like the dead skin is sticking up on either side of a split, like you've got one along here. You can use this tool very carefully and going in a way that means you're not opening up the split more. So if you've got a split like this, you wouldn't do it like that because that would open it up more. But you can kind of go 90 degrees to it, and you can kind of level it down a little bit, just taking that bit of dead skin off, and then that can help it not catch on things as well. So a lot of this is about preventing things getting worse as much as it is stopping it happen in the first place. And that's sort of how quickly you can do it. If you're not worried about filming it. So. It only takes a few seconds to do each nail. Now, if you are into painting your nails, then the next thing to do would be to perhaps give them a little bit of a dust or a bit of a rinse, and then let them dry before you paint them. If you are somebody that's got quite dry skin, so I've got quite a lot of sawdust in my fingers because I've been doing woodworking recently, you might want to consider a little moisturiser. What this does is basically just conditions your skin, and that means that then if it's all dried out, it can crack in the same way as you would buff leather. You just want to rub some into the cuticle and kind of the bit around it and kind of maybe the bit at the end. And what that does is means that if something, it's more likely to be flexible and move out of the way, so it's going to be less brittle. That's the word I was trying to think of. So give that a nice little moisturise. If you're going to paint your nails, you don't want to moisturise before you do this. You want to paint your nails and then put the moisturiser on afterwards. And that'll just keep kind of the ends of your fingers in a nice condition. And it also hides some of the slightly like jankiness of it. Once you've used this tool, it can end up looking a little bit kind of weird and dusty and ragged. And actually just putting a bit of moisturiser on can make them look much nicer. So if you are doing them to look nice for an event or something like that, if you're going out to dinner or something, then that can be quite nice. There are other things that you can do with your nails if you aren't kind of the kind of person that would be inclined to paint them scarlet, and now not have them be causing ladders in your tights, is that you can buff them. So you can get buffing blocks. I don't think I've brought one up. And basically you rub that over the surface of the nail, and it does a buffing. It's basically like super fine grit sandpaper, and that just gives them a shine, and you can keep going until they're as shiny as you want. Otherwise you can put a clear coat of nail varnish on it, and that will just also help to protect your nails if they are particularly prone to cracking. So if you've maybe had some either environmental stuff, like you're doing loads of woodworking or something like that, or you've ended up maybe taking some different medication or have some other kind of environmental or like individual stressor for a period of time, painting them can be really helpful to stop them breaking off and crackling and things like that. And also as you get older, sometimes you end up with ridges in your nails, so painting a clear coat over the top can it can kind of smooth out that ridged appearance. It can make your hands look a bit younger if that's something that's important to you. So the other thing to say about hand cream is that hand cream specifically tends to be a little bit thicker than what you get for like body. There's no like magic to moisturizer. You can use face cream, hand cream, or moisturize like regular body moisturizer on your hands. Just hand cream tends to be a little bit thicker and more industrial. And if you are borrowing someone else's moisturizer, make sure, like the face ones tend to be the most expensive. So make sure that you're not borrowing the super expensive one to slather all over your hands 4 times a day and use that all up. So just another little bit about that. Realise this is not necessarily the most professional setup, but you fit as many rubles in the dead rat as you can, and hopefully it's been helpful for some people. And Bob, the bricklaying tutor, if you are watching this, that you inspired this video and this is for you, please invest in some moisturiser and occasionally trim back your cuticles. Your hands look so sore. Bye.